there everybody, it's Lisa Sweeney here from Business in Heels, and I'm on today chatting with all sorts of interesting people. So I've got Louisa who's on in sunny Melbourne, and we've got Marg from all the way from the Philippines online with us. So thank you ladies for joining us, and what we thought we'd do today is talk a little bit about what it's like to be a woman in the Philippines and what's happening with women in the Philippines as we continue to work on getting our Filanthropino project off and running and the branch in the Philippines. So what I thought we might start doing is to have a chat with Marg, who is both a VA worker in the Philippines, a single mum. She's had a wealth of experience. So tell us a little bit about how the virtual assistant role is making a real difference for women in the Philippines.
Hey, good morning, everyone. I am Marg, and I am Louisa.Au's VA for Influence.com.au. And virtual assistant job has changed my life in the most positive way, because just to give you a brief background of what I used to do, I used to teach in college when I only had one child. And that took a lot of my time because I had to go to school and teach at 7 a.m. And being that I'm a college instructor, I was required to take on higher level of learning. So I had to take my master's and my PhD in a university about a mile away from the school where I taught. So I didn't end up going home until like 7, 8, 9 in the evening. When I left the house, my child would be asleep, and when I got home, he'd still be asleep because I never see him awake. And I did that for about 5 years, and then I ended up being pregnant with my second child. And when I got pregnant with my second child, I thought, I had to stay, but only because it was also a sensitive pregnancy. So I ventured into online work. Some of the teachers that were teaching in the college where I used to work at were actually doing it, but it all started with teaching English online. And I ventured into writing, and then found a wonderful boss named the Twos, who I work for now and have been with for the past almost 4 years. We have not only built a good working relationship, but we also have a very pleasant personal relationship. The one I have with my bosses. So now that I'm into online work, being that it is home-based, I just have a lot of time at home. I can grab my laptop, move from the living room, and set it on the kitchen counter while I cook. It's not going to happen if we have meetings with clients, but if we're just doing like the normal, like email checking, task delegation for the team, communication of trying to pass on instructions from the boss to the workers, then you can just kindly do it on chat. So there's just a huge change in my life when I got into this type of work.
That's fantastic. And so, for many women in the Philippines, we're seeing about 3,500 leave a day, isn't it, Louisa?
So one of the biggest exports in the Philippines is women becoming OFWs, so overseas workers. It's probably more than 3,500. That was from a study in 2012. So women leaving, very clever women with bachelor degrees, are leaving, can't get jobs in their particular field, so they're leaving to become OFWs, to go to places like Japan and Hong Kong and Canada and America, and to be domestic help. So leaving to go and do very physically difficult jobs, thousands of miles away from their families. And they're often leaving very small children at home, and they don't come back. Like they go away thinking, oh, I'll come back in 3 or 4 months, but they don't. They go and they stay, and they're not treated well. There are so many stories of OFWs treated badly, particularly in places like Hong Kong and Dubai.
Yeah.
And the sociological impact of women leaving a country is that children are left without mothers. and it's not good. You know, that particular study talks about the fact that the children of mothers who've become OFWs not attending school, not engaging in college education, getting involved very early on with socially negative behaviour, drinking and that sort of stuff. So children need their mums.
Yeah. So Marg runs a jewellery business, I know. So
she does, and I've bought jewellery from her, and it's lovely. It's very, very common in the Philippines for women to have a side hustle. Most do. And the flexible nature of being a VA means that you can. Yeah. So, you know, building your own business on the side and having extra money in the kitty for your children is awesome.
So part of what we're hoping to do with the Filanthropino project is actually train some of these people that are doing that to actually run real businesses as a main hustle and start employing others. But before we get on to that, Louisa, tell us a little bit about this industry of virtual assistants in the Philippines, because many people employ them, but there are some really, you know, there's good working conditions and then there are some not so good ones. Tell us a little bit about that.
So I guess one of the main reasons we got into running Awayteam was my concern around not good working conditions or people treated badly. It's very easy for us in the West to just be ignorant of what might be going on. It's a bit like when you think about where our clothes come from. It's very easy for us to go, oh, I don't want to know about the places in Bangladesh that make my clothes. We can do that and we can ignore it, or we can choose to be educated around it and understand that there's a level that people are people and humans are humans and they deserve to have a nice place to work. So, you know, if you are looking at using an outsourcing company, you need to ask questions about where is it that they work. If it's a BPO, so if it's an office-based, where is that? How far away from their home is it? I mean, we have, one of the reasons that people like working for Awayteam is because they're home-based. So all of our workers work in their own homes. And the reason they like that is because some women were working in BPOs and they were travelling up to 6 hours a day. So 3 hours to work and 3 hours home again. And that, I can't imagine doing that. That would do my head in. And their children are not awake when they leave and then asleep again by the time they come home.
It's like you never get to see your children when you're working a 9-to-5 job, because it's like they just cannot grow up with their mom. They need their mom. And I realized that also when I had my second child, so that's why I opted to just started working on online. Not only do I get to do what I like to do, which is you know, intellectually stimulating task and work for Awayteam and Intuit, I get to do sideline on Facebook. And I also have the free time because since it's online work, if I have to do like, I'm very active when it comes to the political arena here in our city. And I'm not a person in a position or anything like that. It's just support our local government. I get to do that and work at the same time. And I love my boss.
That's fantastic, Marg.
Another question you need to ask if you're employing somebody through an agency is, are they legally employed? So many virtual assistants are employed as subcontractors. So they don't get holiday pay, sick pay, none of that. They're only paid for the hours that they work. So therefore, as a mum, if your children are sick, which happens, we all know that, you know, in the first 10 years of life, you spend half of their life, you spend 3/4 of your time at the doctor's with some bug or other. If they aren't able, if they ring in and say my child's sick, then they don't get paid. So the impact of that, they're the questions that you need to ask. You know, where is the BPO? Is it a decent BPO? Do they have access to air conditioning, all of that? You know, are they comfortable when they're working? Are they legally employed? By that I mean, are they on a salary?
Yeah.
And is that salary decent? So do we know that the money that they're earning allows them to live lives which we would expect to live? and you just need to ask those questions. And if the company that you're going through can't answer those, then don't go with them. And please don't use Fiverr/Upwork. Either of those. They are exploitative. They're not safe. So they're exploitative to the worker because pretty much workers are on there because they're desperate for work. So they will take whatever you want to pay them. If you say, you know, do me a logo for $50, they'll say yes. But that's not enough money for a logo, and we know that. But also, if you're paying somebody $50 for a logo, what sort of logo are you going to get? Because in order for that person to feed their family, they'd have to be doing many, many, many logos a day. So the logos are going to be very similar, blah, 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 blah. So it doesn't, you get what you pay for, really, to be honest.
So, Louisa, if people have got some concerns, you're open to having a conversation with them, are you? Of
course. You know, I've had many conversations with people who are thinking about outsourcing and about what I know is the ethical route. And we spent 4 years working out what that was. You know, we had to, we started employing Filipinos in our own business, and Marg was one of our first employees. It took a long time. You know, the Philippines, we think we have lots of paperwork in Australia. It's got nothing on the Philippines. Like it took Isabel 6 months to register a business here. Like it's insane. So we know that what we're doing is ethical, and I'm really happy to have a conversation with people about what that actually means.
Yes, and a number of people I know have moved that people who they've employed from other places to you guys because once they've met you and realised that maybe the contracts weren't legal or what they thought they were. So, you know,
and that's the other thing. How do you know the company that you're, unless the workers are legally employed, that's the other reason for making sure the workers are legally employed. All of our workers in Awayteam are on legal employment contracts, which means if something happened, and of course we don't want it to, but well, it's not perfect. As an Australian business, you have recourse, you know, because you've signed a legally binding contract with us, and then our workers are on employment contracts, international contracts. You need to be asking those questions to keep yourself safe, not only to ensure that the worker is happy. And you know, people will say to me, well, who cares about ethics? Well, most of us, but if you don't, think about how that impacts your business. If you have a worker that's happy, that's well, who is able to take time off to look after their children, blah, 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 you're going to get a worker that's wanting to work for you, that wants to turn up for work, that's happy, that isn't trying to make more money in other places, you know.
So I think that's really important. So people, if you've got Filipino workers employed and you're not sure, because things like housing loans and all those are written down against employment contracts, have a chat to Louisa. I will put her contact details on this video so you can check it out. So as you guys all know, we're opening a branch in the Philippines, and it's going to be very educationally focused. Now, when I listen to all Marg's qualifications, I kind of wonder, you know, many Filipino women have amazing qualifications and knowledge, but maybe not so much around business. So I guess the question is, you know, how do you think education can help women grow in the Philippines? So this question's to you, Marg, and then we're going to ask Louisa.
I mean, education is important, but chemistry is also important when it comes to VA work, because you have to work as a person for 8 hours. So we make sure that we also do that aspect.
And part of it will be actually to expose, with Business in Heels, what we hope to do is expose a lot of the Filipino women to some of the more amazing Western women and what they're doing, as well as some amazing role models of Filipino business women that are just doing it all. So, and Louisa, from your perspective, what do you think that this sort of branch and the education and that sort of thing will do for the women in the Philippines?
And a very first principle when you're looking at developing a community is education of women. If you educate women and you get women doing well, then the whole community lifts up. Their children do better. Their children are more likely to attend university. You know, they're more likely to go into more higher paying, less manual jobs. and on it goes down the generation. So we know that's a very first principle of community development, and you know, that's one of the reasons we support Business in Heels branch, because there is very little education for business women in the Philippines. It's still a very male-dominated society. There are amazing women, very clever, amazing women, but they are very separate. There's not a lot of community. And so if Business in Heels can come in and create community and education then, and get these young women who are already doing side hustles to actually develop those side hustles into real businesses, and be mentored by women who are up and coming in the Philippines. And I think there will be this groundswell of women doing better, and therefore their children doing better, and therefore economic development, which is the only thing that's going to improve conditions in the Philippines is economic development. We know that. So
yes, exactly. So and hopefully we can make some inroads into reducing the number of people who have to leave every day, because
yes,
surely women running amazing businesses would want to employ other women.
Yes, that's right.
So that's the hope. We're very close. We're thinking June, I think, is going to be our first online workshop that we're running in the Philippines. So it's all starting to come together, and we're building a special community group on Facebook where people, it's going to be 600 pesos, I think, to join, and then people will be able to be part of that community. There'll be ongoing little snippets of education as we go along. So I think 600 pesos is about 14 bucks Australian. So that's kind of just making it, I think everyone needs to have some skin in the game, but it's also making it very achievable. However, there will be some people that struggle with some of our future education, so people are keen to support, and we've had so many amazing women reaching out from all over the globe. I've had women from UAE to Adelaide talking to me about how they can support some of the women in the Philippines, and I think it's been extraordinary how many people are working with different people in the Philippines and want to see that social growth. So encourage you all to jump onto the link that we're putting with this video as well and see how you can help make a difference. So ladies, thank you so much for joining me today. It's been excellent to have you on, and we'll chat again soon. Thank you.